Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Better Call Saul. Last time on Better Call Saul, we had expenses. So Nacho went to Price because he wanted to get empty tablets of Hector's medicine so that when Hector took his medicine, he wouldn't get, the medicine, so that he would end up dying. Mike ended up getting involved, saying that, if you're going to do that, you need to swap the pills back so that nobody suspects you. Let's see. Meanwhile, Jimmy was struggling with, basically, expenses. Things were getting a little too costly to be making these commercials, but he had to make them no matter what. And now he's basically paying the film crew out of pocket. Because in the desperate need to get these commercials done, he is now giving them away for free. And then we also had Kim, who is dealing with some guilt, some conflict over what they did to Chuck. Basically, in her eyes, all they did was tear down a sick man. And, yeah, they did. It is true. It is a very difficult thing of... do you help Chuck at this point? Jimmy has pretty much abandoned Chuck now, but you, at the same time, you understand why. And honestly, it may be better for both of them that Jimmy isn't there, And Chuck, maybe he needs to go get help without Jimmy. Maybe that would actually help him. I don't know. And then, at the end, Jimmy actually went to the malpractice insurance office, and it seemed like he had a bit of a breakdown talking to the insurance lady. However, we think, at least, that this was all an act. This was all an act so that the insurance place would learn that Chuck had a breakdown in court because she started writing something, and Jimmy was like, oh, no, you shouldn't write that stuff, So we're thinking this is a classic Jimmy maneuver. He's getting something out of this, but we'll have to see. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this episode of Better Call Saul. Here we go.
Let there be light. And then there was light.
Marco. Oh, this is back in the day.
Guy comes in, buys a box of Ivory Flakes and a sixer of Old Style. He pays with a couple bucks and this. I tell my dad, Pop, this quarter is rare. It's worth $4. Barely get the words out of my mouth. He hightails it out of here to give it back. Every deadbeat in the neighborhood owed him money. You come in here with a sob story, you leave with a pat on the back and a gallon of milk. He could have made it work. He could have sold beer and cigarettes to the kids from Mary Margaret's, but... oh no, not him. He's never gonna do what he had to do.
Kept the box, though. Interesting. We never really heard Jimmy's side of what happened with his parents. Oh, what a great shot. Man, how do you... I guess you just gotta do it quickly, but I'm thinking about, all the different, sunlight. But I guess it's a cloudy day. Do this on the cloudy day, you don't have to worry about sunlight. Oh, shit. That's a body.
Yeah, tribal police? Yeah, I was out on your property this afternoon. I found a dead body.
Is that
off the Old Post Road.
Is that like the Good Samaritan?
It won't be long before I'm back to work full time with no accommodations. And then soon after, I want to get back into court. I haven't argued a case in almost 3 years, so that's next. I want to get these lights turned back on.
Wow.
I want this house to be full of music.
That's
have a dinner party.
Quite the ambition, you know?
Oh, hell, no. Surely you'd admit that every case is different.
Of course.
Then perhaps my recovery might be speedier than your run-of-the-mill patient. Isn't that possible?
I'm just
it's
cautioning you
possible.
not to push yourself too hard.
Like, don't get too excited, you know?
Appreciate every
Don't
step
set yourself
forward,
up for
but
disappointment.
Modulate your expectations.
What if it's all in my head?
I mean, that's
And if that's
still
true,
something.
then what have I done?
We can get those.
We can get
We can
students.
get students.
Yes, we can.
We could reshoot the ad
Yes.
and then run that. How
Guys,
about
guys, come on. Now,
Well, you
you
gotta be
wouldn't even
dickholes
thinking
about
a
this.
commercial if it wasn't for me.
that? We're not going to pay you $6,500 for something that we can do ourselves. You got it?
Seriously.
Seriously. Excuse us.
Well, you're not gonna get those time slots.
No, if you're gigging a lot.
Are you gigging a lot?
Guys, sorry to interrupt. Just want to make sure there's no wiggle room here.
We are with customers right now. Please, all right? Just go. Thank you.
Okay, well, best of luck in all your future endeavors.
Go.
Oh, no.
Go. Sorry about
Oh no! Don't tell me. Yoink!
Somebody call an ambulance!
No, you don't need to. I don't need. Ah! Oh, yes, an ambulance. That's a good idea.
He gets
You guys
it.
have liability insurance, right?
Yeah. We have that if you don't want to do it. Fucking slippin' Jimmy, man. That was a slip.
I told him about the job you're doing for us. I know he'd love to talk to you.
Oh god. Howard's here.
It means a lot. But when we first started working together, I promised you Mesa Verde would be my sole focus. And I meant it.
Oh god.
Sure, but I gotta
Hey
think.
there. I thought I saw some familiar faces.
Howard.
Sit. I saw you got that branch approved on your original timeline after all.
We did. Thanks to Ms. Wexler here.
Well, Kim's one of the best. You're lucky to have her.
Thanks,
She sure
Howard.
is, and we sure are.
Seems like just yesterday she was logging hours in doc review.
Nah,
Always a pleasure to see one of our proteges spread her wings and leave the nest.
thanks.
Well, I'll get out of your hair.
Are you dyeing your hair, by the way? It looks
You too,
darker.
Howard.
She writing a check? What's she doing?
Have a wonderful lunch, Howard.
Did she just pay off her student debt? What was that?
Sorry to hold things up. Look, Howard, you were very generous when I left HHM, but it never sat right with me that you covered my law school loans.
Seemed to sit right at the time.
I appreciate...
I'm doing damage control, and I'm doing it 3 meals a day for the past 2 weeks with every one of our clients.
Nah.
I'm busting my ass trying to repair the reputation of the firm after you and Jimmy dragged it through the mud.
And by the way, it was all very convenient for you to ignore Chuck's illness when it suited you.
So I take you out of the mailroom, put you through law school, mentor you, and then when you leave and stab me in the back, that's my fault. I'm not cashing this.
Dude, don't even start with people stabbing different people.
All Jimmy and I did was show the situation for what it is. And if you are hiding that from your clients, well, Howard, that's on you.
Nah. Damn, man. Damn, I've never seen Howard so pissed. Oh, he's practicing switching it out. You know who he needs? Huel. Huel could get that shit. Ooh. Trying to go into a
White sign,
triangle grocery.
red pepper, purple sweater, brown wood,
Brown
Black
bricks. Minecraft. So I guess... Ooh, this one's gonna be rough. There's everything. Ah! He just turns the corner and Walt's just butt-ass naked.
green
No.
basket,
It's too early for
Gray
that.
floor.
Kidding. Gray floor. This is all the shit that Jimmy would get. Ooh, he does have a scar there. Come on. I hope he can make it.
What's...
Wait. Did he...
Hey,
Did they give him a thing? A guitar?
I sold the rest of my ads.
That must be a relief.
They love the response they got. They're so impressed they threw in this baby. Signed by the one and only Richie Blackmore.
Hey!
And, lying on the floor helps you with your fingering?
Oh, I fell.
What?
He
Those
actually
during
hurt
productions.
himself. Man, I remember I remember when I was in high school, I slipped on ice and fell on a backpack with 3 textbooks in it. God, that fucking hurt. I can still feel it in my back.
Good for the next 6 weeks.
Damn.
So at least we can stop talking about that.
For
Jimmy,
6
I wasn't
weeks.
just take it to a square, right?
Oh, okay.
I'll do what I have to do to take care of my half. You do what you have to do to take care of yours. End of story. Okay.
Okay. He's depressed that he had to do it. But gosh dang it, he's gonna do it.
I think I may have a solution to your problem myself. Do you think you have some time this week? We could sit down and talk?
Interesting.
Chuck? Howard. What a nice surprise.
We made it.
It concerns your malpractice insurance.
Oh, shit.
There's...
Oh, did he, like, bust the AC? Yeah, the AC is done. Is dead. And the fans are shit. Ah. So he has to take off his jacket. Just go down there.
No, he's fine.
Ah. Man, the cook better not, like, rat him out or anything. It's in that pocket. Huh? Okay, now he got the pills, but now he needs to swap it out. His heart has to be racing. Mine's starting to race. His hands are shaking. His palms are sweaty. Mom's spaghetti. Shit. Gotta be careful. I just want one time it pans back up and Hector's just right there. Like he's suddenly become the Flash. I'm terrified. That's how he's gonna do it. When he sets it down. Oh no, he's gonna try to drop it! Huh? But what if Hector is just playing this cool? Whew. Jiminy, he did it.
I have to get my hours done this week. Judge says so.
Judge told you, huh? Sounds like that's on you.
Oh, so this guy's just a fucking dick to everyone.
Man, I was just trying to see my sick kid.
You're trying to sell something you shouldn't have to someone who shouldn't be buying it.
Nah.
Hey, no judgments, all right? The man's got to make a living. I'm just saying the way you make yours rhymes with mug mealer.
What are you, a knock?
I'm the guy who's gonna
No.
get you out of here and let you keep your hours.
Yeah?
He's a bro.
How you gonna do that?
Pretty sure you're gonna give me my hours. Oh, yeah? How do you figure that?
Because if you don't, I'm gonna sue you.
Hate to break it to you, smart guy, but you signed a waiver.
Signed a waiver with the city.
Not
and I'm
you.
not suing the city. I'm suing you, personally.
Nuh.
Can't do that.
You gave a waiver to a lawyer.
Maybe I throw in failure to treat and mitigate damages suffered by me due to injuries sustained under your watch.
Injury?
My back.
You're full of shit. The waiver clearly
that
states...
waiver's gonna make Swiss cheese look solid.
Nuh.
And in a personal lawsuit, it's a fart in the wind.
You're never gonna win that.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
In order to find out, we gotta do some math. Let's see.
Yeah.
A lawyer's gonna cost you about $90 an hour. You're looking at 8 to 12 months of litigation minimum.
How far are you gonna go to see if he wins or not?
Let my friend here visit his sick daughter in the hospital, and you can let me rest my back on this sacred, now litter-free New Mexico soil. Oh, and we keep our hours.
Nuh.
Fine.
Damn.
Asshole.
I wonder how much of that is legit, you know? It's probably all of it.
Get out of here.
He's so pissed.
Hey, man. That was some Jedi my shit right there.
You're welcome.
Here you go. I'm out.
Alright. Pleasure doing business, my friend.
Yo, I'm on my way.
I've got a problem I think you can help me with. I've got cash I can't spend. About $200,000. If anything happens to me, my family will never see it. Now, it seems to me you opened this place to solve a similar problem.
It would be unwise for us to be publicly associated. Wouldn't you agree?
Because of the Salamancas.
If they were to take notice, there would be consequences for both of us.
I'm thinking a paper transaction.
Even so, perhaps there is a way. One with a degree more difficulty, but one I may be able to arrange.
Deal. Alright. Very, very interesting. Alrighty. Interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff we got in this one. Huh. Yeah, you know, I'm curious. It's such an interesting thing where I feel like we've had the story arc already, you know? Like, season 1, the story arc is, you know, Jimmy, you know, becoming a lawyer, you know, truly doing things as a lawyer, until eventually getting to the climax, I guess, of giving up the Sandpiper case after everything that happens with Chuck. Excuse me. Season 2 is a lot of that sort of same thing, is, you know, trying to find your place in a lot of stuff, until eventually, you know, you get Jimmy and Kim going off, making their own, you know, separate but together firms, leading up to the War of Sabotage. Season 3, it's interesting because I feel like the story arc of Season 3 is the hearing, leading up to the climax being chicanery. So I'm kind of sitting here like none of this is bad. I'm not complaining at all. But I'm saying is, I don't know where we go now, you know? Which I guess you could kind of say that about... I guess you could kind of say that about some of the first seasons, because you wouldn't, like, when you look through, when you're watching through all the Davis and Maine stuff, you wouldn't necessarily get to, you wouldn't think about, like, oh, well, this is going to lead to a war of sabotage between Jimmy and Chuck. So it's probably sort of the same thing here, where it's like, well, yeah, I've seen the first half, I don't know where this is going to end up. But with 2 episodes left, I feel like I don't really know. Like, we're still kind of doing, I don't want to say one-off or unimportant episode. Like, that's not it in the slightest. I just don't know, like, okay, what's the next story beat we're going to? You know? I guess that's sort of my thing, is that, you know, right now I see a lot of, you know, things, it's like things setting up that but I can't see what they're setting up, maybe, is what I'm trying to say. You know, I can see things like, okay, Nacho, I can see, you know, maybe, you know, he may be separating from the cartel, from the Salamancas, but that is setting up Hector being in the wheelchair. Jimmy, with everything, you know, he's starting to slip more and more again, and with everything that he's doing, you know, helping out the guy, that is setting up more of Saul Goodman. And then Mike, you know, we're setting up what eventually happens in Breaking Bad, which is Mike having to deal with the DEA taking his money, you know, the money he's trying to leave for his family. So yeah, it's like I'm trying to I don't know. It's like it's like there's so many different things, but none of them I feel like, at least none of them I can see where the goal of this season is, basically, if that makes any sense. Again, not complaining at all, because what we're getting is amazing, but it's just an interesting thing, I guess, mainly because where in the past 2 seasons the climax was towards the end, you get the big, reveal and sort of climax towards the end, episode 9 and 10, and I guess maybe we're just not there yet. But to me, the big climax of this season was in Chicanery, and that was episode 5, So I'm just curious, like, okay, so where are we going with Chuck? Where are we going with Jimmy? Where are we going with Kim? Why is Kim calling up that Gatwood guy? Why is, and some of it you understand why they're doing it, but I don't know. It does that make any sense? I don't know. But yeah, so it's just sort of an interesting thing. I'm not seeing it kind of feels like the characters are doing things, but I don't see what the story beats are, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't see the overarching plot, basically, for each of these characters. But, either way, still a really good episode. To kind of keep all of these notes sort of together, let's go one at a time. We'll start with Mike. So Mike, which we only saw 2 things. So, first we had Mike finding the dead body. Now, that has to be... I guess it's either... It must not be the driver. It must... I can only assume that's the Good Samaritan, especially with the whole thing of, like last season's, like, you wanted to put the cops onto Hector. Why? If you put the cops onto Hector, it puts them onto me, And I don't think he would want... I don't think Mike would want to get to Nacho, but even still, if it is the body of the Good Samaritan, I guess it doesn't necessarily trace back to Hector. What they're just going to see is, oh my god, there's this body here. And oh, you know what though? Oh shit. Okay, so now I'm remembering from last episode when Mike was talking with Anita, and she was talking about her husband just disappeared. I'm suddenly thinking, wait a minute, I can't believe I didn't put this together, but are they saying that her husband was the Good Samaritan? Now, it's entirely possible they're not, that, this is just 2 separate things, but he's thinking of the Good Samaritan that Hector killed and thinking, no, there needs to be some closure about this, Like, someone needs to get the closure that... Because that is a terrible thing of, like, well, yeah, he's just gone. Like, we don't know where he is, We never found a body. He just disappeared and presumed dead. So, it could be that Mike is just looking at this like, well, even if, Anita's husband... And it could be that because she has... I think she did say, like, it's been years since her husband died. So I imagine these are separate things, but after hearing that, he hears of the Good Samaritan and is like, okay, this probably won't trace back to Hector. He's not doing this to trace back to Hector to put the cops on him, but he's doing this so that the family of this Good Samaritan can have some closure, So there's at least that. So I understand that now. All right. And then the other part of Mike's story was the money, which that is 100% set up for, and this is like Breaking Bad season 5, where it's like, well, Mike his money keeps getting taken by the DEA, and I also love because we had that moment where because he had that lawyer who got caught by the DEA putting that money in, and then I did love because Saul, Saul gets onto him. It's like, I told you shouldn't have used that lawyer. He's an idiot. You should have let me do it. That I did like that back in Breaking Bad. But yeah, so that's what that's setting up. let's see. We had Chuck starting to improve, which is interesting. And he is starting to improve. He went out to the grocery store by himself, which was pretty impressive. At first it seemed like, is he gonna have some trouble and stuff? But he managed to power through it, which is impressive, And he's talking to the doctor about this, and it's interesting how, he's saying like, well, it's, pretty much possible. I guess to him, maybe it's like 99% that this is in his head, and what does that mean for him and stuff. But at the very least, he is taking steps to improve it, even if it is in his head. It still is something, and that's the thing, when you say it's like, well, is this real or is it in my head? It's like in Avatar when they say it's like, is this real or a legend? And the hippie's like, oh, it's a real legend. Yeah, it's like, is this real or is it in my head? Oh, it's really in your head, Like, it's one of those that's like, well, even if it's in your head, it's still affecting you. This is something, yes, it means that, maybe not a medicine per se or a treatment per se. I have to say per se about this. But, not that something like that is like, oh, you've got an antidote, basically. But there are steps you can take about this. Even if it's not a physical ailment, if it's a mental ailment, that honestly may give you more steps, Because if it's some, brand new disease that nobody's ever heard of and nobody can treat, that's rough. Obviously, he's been in his house for 3 years. But now it's like, well, if it's a mental ailment, you can take steps to fix this, and one of those steps, though I suppose maybe not prescribed steps, but would be, testing yourself with electricity, which is what he said back in season 1 of like, hey, let me, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to basically test myself, like, taking doses of poison so you build up an immunity. It could be very similar to that. But I like having the doctor there and, kind of going over this stuff of like, yes, this is good. You are improving. And even if it is something, even if it's, a mental condition, which she's pretty much hypothesized in season 1, she's looking at this like, well, you have taken steps to fix this, and now she's probably thinking like, well, there's probably other things that you can do now. I did like, though, that she tried to temper his ambition, because he's saying, like, he's going over all this stuff, like, oh, I want to get back in court, I want to argue something, I want to do this and that, I want to turn the lights back on in here, I want 100 people, a party spilling out in there, and she's like, that's great, and it is entirely possible that you will get there, but don't build yourself up, like, that is a definite, like, okay, but temper your expectation because you need to be prepared if this doesn't go well, So I like all of that. And yeah. And then the last thing with Chuck was just him talking to Howard about the malpractice insurance that we're going to have to figure out about. So yeah. That's the thing is, this malpractice insurance, if Jimmy's screwing with him again, that could trigger his stuff again, That could trigger his condition again, so going to be difficult. Speaking of Howard, boy, we've seen a bit of Howard, being kind of angry. Like when he was chewing out Kim over the commercial. That was a bit, but it was more like, I am robot, I am angry sort of thing. This one, he was pissed, because of everything. It's like, oh, I'm doing damage control because, you and Jimmy dragged our reputation through the mud. And it's like, but Kim brings up a good point. It's like, okay, you were willing to ignore Chuck's illness when it suited you, Like, honestly, he kind of got off easy where it's like, well, Chuck wasn't trying to keep going like, I'm not crazy and stuff like that. He immediately was like, no, I have to stay in my house, I need to do all this, and Howard basically just had free reign over HHM, The entire firm was basically his while Chuck was out of commission, basically. The only thing he had to deal with was this whole Jimmy thing. But yeah, it's like, look, now you are dealing with the consequences of letting, just sort of trying to sideline Chuck, and it's like, you can't sideline your mentally ill colleague anymore, So yeah, every single meal he's doing that. But yeah, Kim tried to pay the stuff and he was like, no, I'm not doing that, So yeah, that was really, really interesting. And you do sort of feel bad for Howard because it's like, yes, he has been thrown into this terrible situation, but at the same time, it's like, Kim is right. You have, ignored this because it benefited you. You have had basically free reign over HHM without Chuck. So it's like, yeah, if you have to do damage control, then you have to do damage control. Nothing to be done about that, And hey, because the thing is, you also do slightly feel bad because he even said this in chicanery. He was like, look, you don't have to go up, you don't have to take the stands. We have a solid case. We can do this anyway. But Chuck, in his ego, was like, no, I have to be the one. He basically was like, I have to be the one who takes Jimmy down. But because of that, he basically, it was basically a chess game. And Howard's the queen over here saying, well, we have pawns, we have knights, we have rooks, we have bishops. We have everything, a solid case against, Jimmy, his queen, and a couple pawns, basically. We have a full board. They have a couple pieces. But Chuck, the king, was like, no, I have to be the one to take down Jimmy. So he put a king out there, and Jimmy, it doesn't take much to take down the king. And Jimmy exactly did that. What a great analogy. Chicanery is just the world's greatest chess game. And that's what we used to say about Walt versus Gus, So, yeah. So that was all interesting. We had Nacho practicing, and man, that's some, heart-beating action, heart-pounding action when he's trying to swap out the stuff, Because it is one thing that it's like, we don't really know what happens to Nacho after Better Call Saul. He's not in Breaking Bad. We did technically hear about him. You can hear in Saul's first appearance in Breaking Bad, he's like, oh, it wasn't me, it was Ignacio, So it's like, oh, okay, so you can assume he still lives, but at the same time, it's like, you don't know what's going to happen to him, though. So yeah, but he practiced it, and he did it, he swapped it, and that was the last we saw of it, so let's hope everything works, everything comes up Nacho, And then pretty much the last thing here is Jimmy dealing with those guys. And again, it's one of those things, like, you understand why they would do that. It's like, oh, we could pay you, or we could just do this ourselves for way cheaper. And you understand that, but at the same time, you root for Jimmy, and it's just like, oh, these guys, they're assholes. Why are they doing this to Jimmy? Like, even though Jimmy is offering, they could do this, on their own for cheaper than what Jimmy's offering. It's also interesting, though, that they have to keep making new commercials, like, if he was just trying to get the airtime, but I guess he's not trying, but I guess he can't just sell the airtime is the problem, so it has to be new commercials. I don't know. But it's also interesting that it's like, oh, well, we'll just run the ad without you. And it's like, no, it's my intellectual property now, which was interesting. I like how he's kind of throwing copyright at them until eventually it's like, no, we're just going to do this ourselves. And it's like, basically, Jimmy is like, well, I tried to do this. I tried to do this the good way, the legal way, the nice way. But if you want to play dirty, that's the thing. Never try to play dirty with Jimmy McGill. And he immediately knew, it's like, hey, film this. Trust me. And they film it. He slips and takes a fall. He takes a fall. But I do like, too, because at first I thought, oh, okay, he's slipping Jimmy. He knows how to fall and stuff. But he did actually injure his back. And, oh, boy, I like I said, I know that pain. Except Jimmy didn't fall on textbooks, I fell on my back on 3 textbooks. Oh, it was embarrassing. It was terrible. They had to send me home. Like, I went on to, my first class, but afterwards, when they heard about my fall, they were like, go to the nurse, and then go home, and then they sent me home. Probably because they didn't want me to sue them because there was ice on the sidewalks of the school. After that, they were a lot better about salting those sidewalks whenever there was ice. Whew. But yeah, I can always still feel a crick in my back, I felt it, and that was 9 years ago that happened. It's exactly the same as my wrist. I terribly sprained my wrist 2 years ago in a car accident, And ever since then, I can feel the difference between my right wrist that got injured and my left wrist that was completely fine, you know? I can feel it. So, but yeah, Jimmy took the fall and basically, you know, almost blackmailed them into taking the rest of the deal. But he got the commercials, and he even got I love that he got the guitar too. They threw in the specific Richie Blackwell guitar, and he's in there playing Smoke on the Water on it, you know? So, that was really good, but yeah. And then the whole thing with, you know, Jimmy saying, like, I'm going to get the money. He's not going to have Kim, you know, carry him. He is going to do this. He is going to get the money, which is very much like Walt in Breaking Bad, you know, where he's like, no, I'm not going to have help. I'm not going to have, you know, Gretchen and Elliot try to pay for my stuff. I'm going to do this. And it's that same sort of ego. And Jimmy is like, well, if I'm going to do this, then I got to do it my way. And sure enough, he makes that deal with the dude, gets $700 out of it, you know? Gets $700 out of it and shuts down King Douche Nozzle or whatever he called him. So yeah, all really, really great stuff. Really, really great stuff. Very interesting. Very curious to see where we're going in the final 2 episodes of this season. But yeah, everything, I mean, it's still amazing. I'm just curious, like, okay, what's the overall story arc? Or are we just, like, between story arcs right now? That could just be it. That right now we're between story arcs, you know? And after such a big thing like chicanery, it's like, okay, we need some time, get some pieces in places before we move on into the next big thing. So, but we'll have to see. We will have to see. But that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Better Call Saul reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my Breaking Bad reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.